Hi again, everybody. Welcome back to our workflow series of webinars. This is part two. So if you haven't seen the first one, I would strongly recommend checking that out and then returning here afterwards because most topics we'll go over in this webinar are going to be much easier to understand with the knowledge from the first part. Now, at the end of the previous webinar, we went through the basics of TaxDome's workflows and why you should use them, as well as the first couple of steps that you need to take. So today we're going to flesh out our pipeline. So let's take a look at our agenda. We'll start by discussing automations and how they work. We'll then spend some time focusing on the various types of templates you can use in TaxDome. And once that's clear, we'll go back to the pipeline and set up the automations in every stage. Afterwards, we will talk about adding jobs and how you should test your pipelines to make sure that everything is working properly. We'll also show you the client experience to help you see the benefits from both sides. So let's go ahead and jump right into our first topic. What are automations and why should you care? Well, for now, you can think of automations as small actions that you can let TaxDome do on your behalf. Actions like sending out forms, messages, invoices, much more. So why are they important to you? Well, one of the most common time wasters across everybody's offices is having to manually do everything. You might think it doesn't take long to send out a message, for example, but consider how that time accumulates over the course of a month, a quarter, or a year. That minute suddenly turns into several hours over the course of a year, doesn't it? Now, of course, that's just for one client. If you multiply that by a couple hundred or maybe even a couple thousand clients, that number becomes way more significant. But beyond the time factor, automations remove a tedious part from your daily work. Nobody really wants to sit around doing simple administrative or very redundant tasks. So making TaxDome do all of that for you is the obvious choice. So let's take a moment to hear from some of our consultants and what they think about automations.
In our world, we help primarily small practices implementing TaxDome, and the workflow automations of TaxDome are the game changer for these small firms. The automations are allowing you to eliminate a lot of the administrative effort that you're pouring into your clients. And when you have a lean team, administrative efforts are not the thing you want to be focusing your energy on. We have a lot of clients who say, I would focus my days on providing the return reviews or preparing the returns. And then I'd spend my evenings late into the night doing all the administrative follow-up that I was burning myself out on. I had long hours. And when I implemented the automations in TaxDome, the TaxDome system started doing it for me. And those are things like the reminders to your clients to finish that organizer or pay that invoice. Things like being able to send status updates so your clients are emailing and calling you less because you have the status right there available at their fingertips in the client portal. Also, they streamline their communication channels with clients because they're using the automations and driving everyone into the client portal. By doing that and holding your boundaries, which is a really critical step, you start actually having fewer channels that you're having to monitor to answer questions and concern about clients trying to reach out to you, getting things. And by automating your workflows, you're going to find that pretty soon you're getting back hours a day of the administrative effort you were pouring into your workflows and your clients previously. And that is the true game changer of TaxDome.
I think that TaxDome has so many great features, and it takes some time to understand the part about automation. I feel like most firms initially focus on the top 2 or 3 features that TaxDome has as a way to save them time, which I think is like e-signature, most of it, document upload. And then from there, they tend to now want to open up their minds and start realizing, that automation and organization of information and processes is what's going to help them the most. And that's where they usually reach out to me for help in doing that.
Now that they gave us some more insight, let's take a look at this slide where we listed all the available automations. Now, most of them are pretty clear and we don't need to cover them because I'm sure you don't need to listen to me tell you that the send email automation actually sends an email. I'll still show you how to set everything up later, but for now, let's make sure to cover these. Update account tags, update account access, update job assignee, update client-facing status. Now, all of these help you keep things running smoothly without moving a finger. So let's go through how all of these will impact your business. Tags are the labels you use to organize your clients. They're also what allows you to easily find different groups of clients and interact with all of them all at once through our bulk actions. Now, to categorize your clients, it's common practice to apply tags to them as you import them into your system, but those tags might have to change after a little while. So instead of keeping tabs on everybody and changing them individually, you can automate that. You just need to set up some automations in pipelines, and you can both add and remove tags whenever your client reaches a certain stage. Now, this is a big deal long-term since you have guaranteed organization for new and returning clients. The account access and job assignee automations are going to help you manage your team. The former lets you set up who from your team gets access to a particular client, and you can also remove access with the same function. How you will use this depends on your firm. But if you have a large team and you don't want everybody to have access to all of your clients, then this is the solution to that issue. So let's say a tax preparer is only given access to clients during the preparation stage, and then as soon as they're done, that access is removed again. Now, this solves potential privacy concerns, but it also streamlines your employees' experience since they only see the clients that they are working on. As for the update job assignee automation, it helps you make sure the right person is responsible for the work that is happening. Instead of having to track jobs and then reassign them regularly, just set it up in a stage of your pipeline and the system will handle all the reassignments for you. The last automation here is something we will get back to near the end of this webinar once we start focusing on the client experience. But in the meantime, you can think of it as an automated way to share your progress with clients without having to send emails or messages. Now let's take a look at the remaining automations that we didn't talk about. There is one thing that they all have in common. That is the fact that they need templates to work. You will use templates on a daily basis to save yourself a ton of time. Now let's go with one of the most common examples, sending a proposal at the start of your work. You will need your client to sign it, and then you'll move on to the remaining steps. Instead of writing those proposals from scratch or editing and uploading documents before requesting signatures from them, you can just set up a template once and you won't need to send it out manually ever again. The same goes for all the other automations. If you need your team to receive new tasks through your pipeline, set up the templates with the task details and add the automations. If you need to send a message, prepare the template and add it to your pipeline. It's basically a two-step process which takes so little time and saves you so much that we can't recommend not using them at all. So, however, it does get better here. TaxDome has a library full of pre-made pipelines and templates available, and also a marketplace where other firms using TaxDome can upload and sell their templates. Now, we asked our consultants whether you should make your own templates from scratch or use the ones that are already available to you. So let's hear what they had to say.
there are plenty of wonderful templates that are available both from the TaxDome library and in the marketplace. I've actually created some of my own in the marketplace. These are the ones that I've found to be the most common ones that firms like, from anywhere between like a prospect questionnaire that you're onboarding or a 1040, traditional tax pipeline. But the free ones that TaxDome already provides are already super useful. I think creating your own, I would only do it if you have a very unique type of process that doesn't exist in the library already. But the library can give you a whole lot of great, it takes care of at least 50% of the process for you already.
So as a new user of TaxDome, many people say, how do I get started with pipelines? Well, you can rest assured that there are ways to speed up the adoption of pipelines into your practice. And that is recommended through using proven methods. At Workflows for Tax Pros, that's why people come to us, because they've tried setting up their TaxDome system. And the result was they were either just using a couple of the key features of it, like the portal and electronic signature, but they were missing out on the powerful features of automation. And so for years, we were teaching people how to create their pipelines using our proven templates. But now we have the amazing marketplace for TaxDome, and you can actually get proven workflows that are able to help you speed up your adoption of pipelines and automation in TaxDome. So if you're wondering, should I use a template, whether it's in the marketplace or something like our program, you definitely should do that, because you want to know that you're setting up a tool in a proven way, a way that others have adopted, a way that others have had success with. Sometimes figuring out a new tool is hard because you are essentially getting a blank slate. And so you have to tell the tool how to work. And these proven templates are able to do that for you. Even if you use it just as inspiration and then completely overhaul it, it's still a starting point to understand how the TaxDome system works, what an effective pipeline and workflow look like, and how to leverage all of the automations of TaxDome. Now, make sure if you do buy a template that you're always thinking about the client experience and that is foremost in the adoption of a template, because those are so important that you don't want to adopt something that makes your job really easy, but leaves your clients lacking.
All right, well, now that you've heard them, let me show you where you will find the templates. I will open up my portal and then expand this template section. You will find both the marketplace and your own templates right here. After you buy any templates or copy the free ones from our library, you can still freely modify them and make them suit your own needs. Personalize them however you see fit. Find the template in your list, open it, and then change anything that you need. You'll have unique templates which will save you time on a daily basis. Create, copy, or buy as many as you need, and then use them over and over and over again. Now let's go over how you'll set up those automations. We'll go into the pipelines page in the same menu that you found the templates in. So if you followed along with the previous session in this workflow webinar series, you'll have your stages ready to go and they just need to be filled out. It should look very similar to the one that I'm showing you on my screen right now. You can see an Add Automation button in each stage, so you just need to click on it and select the automation you want to add. Now is the time to think about how you'll save yourself time. If you already noted down all your actions, then take this one stage at a time and set up those automations. I'll select an email automation, and then I'll be prompted to select the template. It's just like I described earlier. This is a required step for any automation which involves sending something to your clients or creating a task for your team. Once you select the template, you can continue adding other automations either to the same stage or to a different one. I'll go ahead and add another automation, but this time for sending a proposal. You are not limited to any number of automations, so you can make sure to set up every step of your process here. Just remember to save your progress regularly. We can take a look at this pipeline, which already has all the automations I need set up. Depending on which service you're creating the pipeline for, and also what your unique process looks like, your pipeline will have different stages and automations, of course, but it should look similar to this in the sense that it should have several stages and at least one automation in each stage. Once again, I want to reiterate, your goal is to automate as many steps of your process as possible. You do not want to spend your time manually sending out items or manually doing work. If you need to send organizers to all your clients at the start of your process, set it up as an automation and TaxDome will send them out for you. If you need to create tasks for your team to review, let's say, the contents of a proposal or complete some other step, set it up as an automation as well. You will save time and there won't ever be a case of something falling through the cracks. Everything will be automatically done, tracked, and organized. The only thing I want to point out is this auto move toggle in every stage. This is what will make your jobs move through the pipeline stages automatically, and thereby eliminating another step in your daily workflow. After everything in a stage has been completed, it will move forward. For example, if you set up a task automation in stage 2 and you mark the task as completed, the job will automatically move into stage 3 and trigger the automations there. The same happens if the pending action was something that the client had to do. That includes things like submitting an organizer, signing a proposal, paying an invoice, and much more. In most cases, you want this to be enabled, but if there are parts of your process where you want a job to stay in a stage until somebody manually moves it, well, you can certainly do that. Simply disable the auto move option for that particular stage. It's entirely up to you. So once you create your templates, add automations to the pipeline and enable the auto move function, you will have a fully automated workflow. Regardless of whether you're making pipelines for bookkeeping, payroll, tax prep, or anything else, the setup process remains the same. Break down your current workflow into all the steps you normally take. Create the stages in your pipeline and then add the automations. As you can tell, there aren't that many steps. So if you haven't started setting up your own workflows yet, make sure to do that as soon as possible. The next topic we need to talk about is the way you'll test your workflow. Once you add all your automations, you need to make sure everything works before you start adding jobs for your clients to that particular pipeline. Ensuring that everything is running smoothly ahead of time is going to save you a ton of headache down the road, and it's also going to give your clients a fantastic experience. To do your tests, you will want to complete every step in your process, and you need to pay attention to 3 points. 1, whether the automations work as you intended. 2, whether the client receives everything that they are supposed to. And 3, if there's room for improvement. To do all of that, you'll first need to create a test client account with an email address that you actually have access to. This is because you want to make sure that your clients will receive everything and have an easy way to work with you. After you create the account, add the job to your pipeline. You can do this in several ways, but the most common ways are by opening the New menu and then selecting Job, as well as opening your clients list, selecting the clients, and then using the Add Job button. Before the job gets created, you will see a prompt appear listing all of the automations that you have set up. We did this so you can confirm which automations will be triggered whenever you're manually adding or moving jobs. Now, in case you don't need every automation for a particular client you're adding a job for, you can simply untick the boxes and those automations simply won't be used. We understand that firms have clients which require unique approaches. So Even though pipelines are built to suit the majority of your clients and process them all in a very streamlined and uniform way, you still have the ability to customize your process whenever you need to. Confirm adding the job, and it will then appear in the first stage of my pipeline. This is where our testing starts. Now, depending on your automations, your firm or the client will need to complete some sort of action. You can check at any time what's pending by opening up the job itself. You'll see all the details and also everything important linked here and categorized in their own sections. Now, in this example, we're sticking to a tax preparation pipeline. So everything in this first step needs to be handled by the client. We're going to switch to the client perspective here, and we will see a pending organizer and proposal. Now, your firm can focus on other tasks or other clients while waiting for this one to sign the proposal and fill out the organizer. Once they're done, we can check back on that pipeline and we will see that the job moved into the second stage. This means we already confirmed two things. All the automations in my first stage work, and the auto move worked correctly as well. The next step requires my employee to start working on that tax return. If I open the job, I see the previous items are marked as completed, but there is now a new task. I set up my tax preparer as the assignee in the template. So when the automation was triggered, it automatically assigned and notified them about this task that they have to get started on. Now, I'll just mark this as completed for now, since we're just testing everything to make sure it all works properly. Since it's the only pending action, the job will move forward again, and the next set of automations will be triggered. So this is the basic idea behind your testing method. Make sure all automations do what you expect them to do, and also confirm if your jobs move forward after completing all of the pending steps. Just keep in mind, if you do something manually, like creating a unique invoice or uploading a document and requesting a signature on it, you should always link it to the client's job. This way, it will be listed among all the other details and items, and it will also be able to trigger the auto move upon completion the same way as any pending items created through the automations would. The last thing you want to do is think whether you can improve some parts of your process as you are testing it. Adding some additional automations or maybe removing some unnecessary steps can help you smooth out any remaining kinks that you have in that process. Now, you might not necessarily be able to spot these small areas for improvement right away. Might take a little bit of time, but maybe after working with your clients for a little while, you'll start to notice what you can potentially do different. With your pipelines, you are not locked into what you set up initially. You can keep editing them on the fly and making improvements whenever you think of any. The pipeline you need to start with will rarely look the same a year later.
So if you've been using TaxDome for a while and you have created pipelines that you think are kind of working, I'm willing to bet that you might be missing out on some of the greatest features of TaxDome. Conditional logic is a game changer. It allows you to create a custom client experience all within one pipeline. So you could have your business clients, your individual clients, and even if you have a few of those 100% paper straggler clients, those can all go into one streamlined automated pipeline using the TaxDome conditional logic. So how do you do that? Well, it's going to probably result in you having to learn the skill of conditional logic. It will also probably mean you'll need to create a new pipeline that will take advantage of those automations available to you in TaxDome. So don't be afraid to have different iterations of the workflows you do. I can tell you that my co-founder, Jessica Smith, who's an enrolled agent, each year spends several weeks refining her workflows based on the things that didn't work last season and the things that she sees as opportunities for improving it for her team, but also for her clients. So don't be afraid to improve your workflows. Just do it in a thoughtful way. A tip is duplicate your pipelines and then go in and create a refined or optimized version of the pipeline you have. So that way, if something does go wrong, you have that backup pipeline from last year that you can always fall back to if necessary. But don't be afraid to improve and optimize your workflows. That is what is going to help you gain more efficiency year after year, which means either more time freedom for you or more client capacity and more profit for you. So it's a win-win by optimizing your workflows.
One option would be is to reach out to one of the workflow consultants and just do a diagnostic to, as to where you are and what best practices or ideas you can go through. Reach out to any other existing TaxDome users in the Facebook community to see if maybe a peer can help them with that. I would encourage them to leverage the resources in TaxDome, like the help resource or the webinars, and you guys have plenty of free resources.
So one of the problems that people come to us with is they're like, my calendar is full. I can't bring on any more clients. I'm at max capacity. I just can't do any more in-person or live Zoom reviews with my clients, meaning that I can't bring on more tax preparation clients, limiting my revenue. And one of the things that we have rolled out to our clients and have automated for our clients is the use of a Loom review. We call them Loom reviews, but they are essentially a screen recording of the return review that allows you to free up your time. So your clients, you can even make this an opt-in type feature if you want to give your clients the choice, but you're able to allow your clients to say, yes, I want a Loom review. And what it is I have an app on my internet browser called Loom that allows me to screen capture my return. And it has a little picture of me in the bottom corner, and the return is on the screen. And then I perform my review. And so you're able to provide a really great client experience because one, I bet your clients don't like having to schedule an appointment with you to get on to review the return. And if they're really busy, that's definitely not high on their list of things to do. It's consuming your time having those hour-long blocks or 30-minute blocks, whatever the length is that you schedule for a return review. You're having to stop doing whatever the work is, hold the review, and then move on. And these Loom reviews allow you to create the return review immediately after preparing the return when the information is fresh in your head. And you get to take that unique link that is created for their review and you get to automate it by using the TaxDome custom fields and messages, and we can automate this function into our tax preparation pipeline. And this is a game changer for so many of our clients. It has freed up their calendars and has allowed them to provide an excellent client experience and without having to be blocking their calendars and have them working outside of working hours. And they're able to get the information to their clients as they need and do that in an asynchronous manner, which is freeing up both their calendar and their client's calendar.
There's also a lot of fear from clients whenever you start a job in a pipeline, especially in tax season when you have like 200, 300, 400 people. And if you start a job all simultaneously, they're fearful of so much volume of organizers or volume of contracts or volume of emails, and then them getting overwhelmed with too much. So batching that is important. So it's just more creative ways to execute the process so that you're not flooding or overwhelming, or in some cases just creating confusion in terms of like specific breakdowns or beginnings or elements of a pipeline when it comes to processes. And in bookkeeping, there are a couple of other things that firms run into with regards to frequency and status, and so we always have to look for creative ways to set those up. And then lastly, as far as creativity, oftentimes there are internal processes that are not even client related, and the nice thing about having a pipeline is you can create a pipeline to track anything. So it's also a project management, for internal processes. So I think that's where the creativity has helped myself and firms come up with solutions to improve some of those things.
Now, the final topic we have for this session is the client experience. We already went over the ways of setting up your workflows and how they help you, but what about your clients? Let's take a moment to see what our consultants have to say about this.
I noticed that when firms implement automations, their clients start complimenting how much faster everything is, loving that they get an email notification checking in the status with what's going on. I know there's a new feature now that it's got like a progress bar that you can choose to keep on the client portal or not, to communicate to the client what stage their tax return is in or whatever work they're doing is in. I think for the most part, it enhances the experience. It provides more visibility and communication, which keeps the client loyal and also sees, probably will come back to do more business, will make them refer more clients to you or to the firm. So overall, those are the things that I've noticed. It's complementing the technology, complementing the higher level of communication, and then just how easy it makes it for them to do business with the firm.
So when you're thinking about your automated workflows and using a practice management tool in general, you are definitely thinking about your clients as you're adopting this, right? Well, once you set this up, you need to be always thinking about the client experience. And the client experience is everything from the ease of use of the portal to the communications you're sending along the way of completing the process, of completing the service or the process for that client. And so when you're looking at implementing a tool like TaxDome and getting it all set up and working, don't just look at how you're streamlining your work, because that will naturally happen by standardizing your workflows and making sure you're leveraging the automations of TaxDome. Make sure you're marrying that with your client experience and ensuring that you're sending out strong communications that are helpful to your clients. And we actually have a framework that we teach in our program, which is the communications part of the program. And we talk about how you need to be sending timely communications. So you can't really over communicate to your clients. It may feel like you're communicating a lot to yourself, but your clients are very busy and they're not in this industry. And so you need to be thinking about, how do I guide my clients to it? So that sending timely communications is critical, meaning instructions and how to complete this step at the time they're trying to complete it. That's number one. They need to be consistent, meaning that you are guiding them along the way. We talk about breadcrumbing our clients to success, meaning that we're giving consistent communications at every step of the process. That's critical. And they need to be persistent. So we get to leverage the reminders features of TaxDome. And that is so helpful to your clients, because if you think about it, we're all very busy humans. And if I'm scrolling my email and I see a notice come in from TaxDome that you need something from me, and I'm in the checkout line at the grocery store, I'm going to probably forget about that. But maybe the next time a reminder comes in, I'm actually going to get the notification when I'm at a time or place that I can actually register that I need to take this action. And so using the reminders and being persistent with those is really valuable to your client experience. And automation can help that. And of course, that's removing work off of you, but that's really meant for the client experience and ensuring that it's a great one, because that's going to result in more referrals. And who doesn't want those?
All right, great. I hope that gave you some insights into how much your client experience will benefit from you setting everything up in TaxDome. Having regular communication, reminders, notifications, and keeping your client in the loop is going to minimize unnecessary interactions and also increase client satisfaction and retention. You heard one of our consultants mention a new feature that's useful for this exact purpose. The client-facing status updates let you inform your clients about the progress of their jobs without needing to ask or expect additional messages. Instead, they'll see the status in their homepage, whether that be planned, in review, on hold, or anything else. You can make those custom statuses, and then you can either manually set those for your jobs or you can automate it through your pipeline. That way, whenever a job enters the stage with that automation, the status will automatically change. The process is the same as it was for the others. You'll use the Add Automation button, select the type, and then choose the status. However, if you prefer not to use this function and share your status updates via messages and emails, well, then you can stick with your preferred method, whatever works best for you. The statuses will only appear when you add them. So let's take a moment to recap the important points that we went over in today's session. We started by focusing on what automations are and how they help you save tons of time and make your work experience significantly easier. We then went over the templates and the marketplace. Once again, as a reminder, you can use and modify templates freely. You'll get a great reference point for some of the common ways that other firms set up their workflows, while also making them suit your own personal needs without needing to start from scratch. After this, we had a practical session where we went through the steps of adding automations to your pipelines. It's as simple as preparing your templates and then adding automations, which will use those in your different stages. We followed that up with an explanation and demonstration of the way you will test your pipeline to ensure that everything is running smoothly and that you and your clients have a great experience. And finally, we talked about the improvements your clients will experience once you set up your workflows and heard some great input from our consultants as well. So if you're setting up your own pipelines and you get stuck at any point, make sure to check out our help resources, which have all the answers to all of your questions, ranging from videos to help articles and even our TaxDome Academy. You can find all the information necessary to set everything up. Once you add all your automations to your pipeline, you will be able to start working efficiently with your clients. However, in the next session, we will talk about some best practices and some more advanced functions of the workflows that we didn't mention quite yet. So make sure to check out the third part of our webinar series.
So my advice to you as you're moving into using TaxDome in your practice is don't be afraid of automation. Don't be afraid of feeling like you're going to have a cold client experience. It is far from the truth. In fact, a lot of our clients find that by implementing TaxDome, they actually are providing a better client experience, and their clients are telling them that. So be curious about how you can improve your operations. And if you're not 100% tech confident, know that you can gain the skill of confidence in technology. It is a learned skill, and some people are a little further ahead than you might be right now, and that's okay. You will get there too. Just stay consistent in your learning about what TaxDome can do. Get guidance from someone like me who can help you understand and be an empowered, confident user of TaxDome, and lean into the TaxDome support to answer the questions that you might have as they come up. There are so many benefits to using technology like TaxDome in your practice that you're going to quickly see that this is worth the effort of setting it up properly the first time, because that is where you're going to see more time, more profit, increased client referrals, and all of this just starts snowballing into the practice of your dreams. So please keep that long-term vision that you have for yourself. Know the first year is going to be a learning curve, but it is one that can be done because we have helped over 700 people do it. And it really does mean that you will, on the other side of that, be able to either scale your practice or start having the work-life balance that you've been dreaming of.
I think the wiki pages is a feature that we haven't talked about. Documenting your processes is something that a lot of firms don't do as much as they should, whether it's creating like little videos to onboard new employees or physical type out like what your processes look like using the wiki pages. has been a very helpful thing. But other than that, I think don't give up. Don't give up on TaxDome. I think a lot of people get frustrated because the TaxDome has a lot of features, and there's a lot of great practice management tools out there. But one of the things I love about TaxDome personally, as both a user and a consultant, is that you guys have a really good community in terms of supporting the feedback of the firm users, and you do a really good job at listening to the requests around improving the features. And so if you have any feature requests that you feel would thoroughly enhance how to improve the client experience or the firm experience, don't be afraid to share your thoughts or opinions, because the TaxDome leadership team listens to that, and the developers work really hard on trying to improve the features for the users.
For now, we'll end things right here. Thank you very much for joining us for this webinar, and we hope you're making great progress setting up your pipelines. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you next time.